lovely Pacific Ocean behind me and the green environment. And we're talking about the nationalization of governmental industries around the world. And as we said a few moments ago, nationalization is really a fancy word for socialism, which is really a fancy word for one of the tenets of the Communist Manifesto, which says that the government should own the means of production. And that's what we're seeing happening here in the United States of America. We're seeing government now owning the means of production, government running entire industries. Now, Adolf Hitler did that, who was a fascist, but actually the name of his party was the National Socialist Party. The Communist Party did that. Socialist nations do that. And yeah, it provides a short-term fix. I'm not going to argue that. Even the economic policies of FDR provided a short-term fix. They jump-started an economy. So when government spends billions, if not trillions of dollars, and begins to infuse that capital into the economic system and take over mismanaged corporations and give them billions, if not trillions of dollars, there's no argument that in the short term it's going to stimulate the economy, and in the short term it could very well possibly keep us from a global Great Depression. So I'm not arguing that. But what I'm saying is, on the long term, it's not a good idea. Now look, what makes the American system work? And it's unique among governmental structures. But the entire American system is predicated on the belief that men and women in government and the average citizen is governed by moral law, a sense of right and wrong, a concern for their fellow man. Now, when you have capitalists or communists or government officials or average American citizens who think only about themselves, which is what is happening in America because of the successive generations, even in our Ivy League schools, which have indoctrinated people into secular humanism, you have what's called social Darwinism. The fittest survive. Well, the fittest survive. Nietzsche used that too, and Adolf Hitler used that too as a pretense to destroy millions of Jews. Is called social Darwinism. Might makes right. Now, the problem with that, greed is good philosophy, the term coined by Ayn Rand and used by Michael Douglas in that classic Oliver Stone-directed movie Wall Street, has a degree of truth. But the problem is that when men and women at the highest levels of government and industry are completely self-centered, and in a sense they've embraced social Darwinism where the bottom line is the profit, and that's the problem in America. You see, we need to understand something. The root problem in America is not government. The root problem in America is not some communist conspiracy, and the root problem in America is not a globalist conspiracy. Those are symptoms. The root problem in America is greed and selfishness. No system, no society can hold together when the society is built on narcissism or self-centeredness. Because the result of that is you have these high-flying executives who very cleverly used the law to make sure that they got themselves enormous bonuses whether or not their corporations performed for the stockholders or not. And so one of the reasons for the economic meltdown is you have billionaires who've made hundreds of millions of dollars bankrupting their companies. And even in Wall Street, that was illustrated by Oliver Stone, the young man in the movie Sheen, played by the actor Charlie Sheen. Gecko takes over his father's airline business, and he guts it, he rapes it, he bankrupts it. Now, that's what's happening in America. I have been talking about the North American Union, which has been renamed, but it's fully on track. can go to my website, paulmcguire.com, get free information on it. You can read my books, The Day the Dollar Died or Are You Ready? I was the first national media personality to break the North American Union story, the coming merger of Canada, Mexico, and the United States. I broke that story years ago, long before any television personality or radio talk show host or author even began to talk about it. I see things on YouTube all the time. The first television commentator to break the story. Nonsense. I have a copyright on my books. I broke the story before anybody else. But I was asking Phyllis Schlafly, the conservative activist, this question. I said to her, Phyllis, why would American corporations want to merge Canada, Mexico, and the United States? Why would they want to lower the American standard of living? I mean, who are they going to sell their giant screen televisions to? Who are they going to sell their computers to? Who are they going to sell their SUVs to? Who are they going to sell their clothing lines to? Because it didn't seem to make logical sense why a corporation would destroy the American economy. And she said to me, and I believe that this is true, she said that the CEOs of these corporations and the politicians that we elect, or I don't even know if we elect them, they pay their way to buy themselves into office. You know, we have a bunch of incompetent fools, running our government. The reason they get office is they got the big bucks. But she said the reason we have these corporations destroying our nation is that they're only concerned about short-term profit. So they're interested in 6 months or a year. They don't care what happens to America a year, 2, 5 years, 10 years down the road. That's the problem. This is Paul McGuire. Go to my website, paulmcguire.com. We'll give you free information. Knowledge is power.